Hey everyone, welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode, we're going to be checking out a piece by the established AI generative artist known as Leviathan Artificial Intelligence. This episode, we're going to be talking about visual energy, we're going to talk about the impact of texture, and we're also going to talk about destruction of biblical proportions. So let's jump right into it. So whenever you first see this work, you're met with a lone house, kind of a lone cottage here, kind of standing in the snow, really amidst this fire red background. Certainly a dangerous introduction. It catches the eye instantly, it kind of leaves you breathless. So we also see, the subject set in center here. It's hard to say whether we can see our subject as the kind of fire red horizon or our subject as the cottage, or kind of both, but I see more as kind of a secondary subject and then kind of the main subject as that fire sky. So really nice introduction for sure. So our secondary subject, it is standing in center here. So when an element stands in center, it's always going to catch your eye. It feels like everything revolves around that element, right? And so we see it's kind of defined through this dark on light contrast. Of course, that brilliant flared sky, perfect neutral backing for that dark on light contrast, kind of the silhouette to really pop out to the highest degree possible. All very important when we're looking at this work. And so with this in mind, where do you think we are? What do you think we're viewing here? And more importantly, how does this work make you feel? And so in the realm of texture, we get quite a bit here, right? You have those kind of softer areas of the snow. You have much more harsher of the wood texture. And then you have, of course, that roiling smoke in the sky as well. So really diverse texture within the work at hand, but all of them are quite harsh as well. So that harsh texture really introduces you to that dark, that daunting, and that dangerous introduction, right? So it certainly catches the eye. Also adds a bit of visual energy within the work at hand. We'll talk about that here in a second. And so in the realm of color, it's really this main kind of red, orangish, and that kind of gray black, right? So very dangerous, very kind of dark themes here. It certainly is going to get the heart racing for sure. And so we see this, this kind of gray smoke in this area almost kind of taints the once pure snow here. So we see this as gray, almost like a really kind of muted blue here, and of course that is dwarfed by the incredible energy of that horizon. So this is very important when we're looking at this work, and so it is a very fatal kind of aesthetic as well. Of course, if you're looking at this, you're gonna want to turn around and just run, right? So very fatal work at hand. Really nice theme here for sure. And so we see kind of three main lanes here, right? We have the base, we have that kind of fire horizon, and then we have kind of the smoky sky with a bit of the tops of the trees as well. So those are really three main lanes, of course, running horizontally across the work at hand. And what our eye is drawn to, of course, is going to be this middle lane, because not only does that include that incredible kind of inflamed horizon, but it also includes what appears to be a burning cottage as well. So this middle lane really is the most important of the work at hand. And it kind of, this kind of bottom and the top, both of those gray aesthetics kind of frame that scene as well. So I think that's also important to note. And so you see this constant curves without the work at hand, right? You see this here, you see curves, of course, slight curves near the roof as well. Of course, all these curves, so many different intersecting forms. That really gives us an incredible sense of implied motion. So that really contributes to a very invigorated spatial composition, very vivid visual energy within the work at hand. So if you guys are wondering, why do I feel that way, could be attributed to one of those elements for sure. And so with this in mind, of course, the work is ablaze. It's absolutely on fire. So we see that horizon. We see, of course, the inflamed cottage or that cabin there. And of course, that also adds that sense of energy, right? It's absolute chaos. Everything's on fire. And it really is kind of destruction of biblical proportion, right? We'll talk about that a little bit more here in a second. But there is a sense of these kind of dual forces fighting each other. Of course, you have ice and fire, right? So those dual forces, they kind of both fight each other, but all in all, both of those do seem quite fatal. If you're caught out here in the snow, it's going to be relentless. If you're caught out here in this, what appears to be a wildfire of sorts, it's going to be relentless. So both of these forces, although they do kind of contrast each other of the ice versus fire, they both are fatal forces. So you don't want to be caught out in them for sure. And so this is, it feels kind of like an apocalypse within the work at hand. It feels like everything's burning down, almost like a double crescent moon here. It's hard to say for sure, but it does feel very apocalyptic. It does feel absolutely terrifying. Gets the heart racing instantly. Scenes of destruction, Armageddon, really hell proportion where everything's burning. Of course, looks like a bit of suffering, especially if someone lived in here or if this was any place of memory for someone. It's kind of burning down there. So all in all, of course, dangerous, very dark themes. Really gets the heart racing with that kind of fire, almost like a blood red as well. Brilliant colors within the work at hand, brilliant amount of energy as well. And I actually have two more works from a similar collection that I believe he's doing. We're going to compare and see what we can learn here. All right, so I brought two of his works within here, and it appears to be from the Ablaze series. So we see, a lot of different variations of some of these scenes. Of course, it is a cottage or a cabin within snow. We certainly see that across all three works. Incredible sense of energy. We certainly see that across all three works. The wildfire, we see that across all three works, and even some type of crescent or some type of moon or some type of thing in the background as well. We certainly see that for sure. That work, the original work today, and then of course that work as well. So all three of these are coming from Leviathan Artificial Intelligence. It's quite clear that this artist is working with these very dark themes here. It feels dare I say medieval? I don't think that's very accurate. Kind of looking at these cottages, it feels very rural, kind of in the middle of nowhere. Certainly aren't escaping what feels like a fatal end here, but I wanted to take some works in here just so y'all could compare and see some similarities to the work that we're looking at today. And so this is an AI generative art piece, so it was made in Midjourney. Midjourney really adds that kind of perfect mix of potential power and then accessibility as well. There's really artists of all different skill ceilings utilizing Midjourney. So if you're someone who wants to get into AI generative art, never heard about it, check out Midjourney. And if you're someone who's already in the world of AI generative art and you haven't given Midjourney a try, you definitely should. It's really worth your time. Leviathan Artificial Intelligence doing some really nice stuff. Of course, I'm not the biggest fan of some of the darker aesthetics, so I look at it in limited quantity. But if you like this aesthetic, go check out the original artist. Go check out all the art that artist has to offer. Really some great stuff coming from that artist. So hope y'all enjoyed. We talked about, visual energy, texture, kind of composition, so many different things today. I hope y'all enjoyed. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see y'all on the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.